You can absolutely manifest when you're angry or hurt or fearful or sad. What matters is not your mood. What matters is your habitual state of being and the self-concept that you embody and operate from. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lorena. I am a self-concept coach and I support women to shift their identity, embody a new state of being, step into a new self-concept, change their self-concept sustainably, because that's what truly manifests your desired reality. You need to bridge the gap between who you currently are and who you desire to become, or rather who you would be if you experience the reality that you are currently dreaming of. And that's what we're doing here. That's what I help you with. If you like this video, please do leave a like, leave a comment as well. And if you want to see more videos like this on the topics of your self-concept, manifestation, shadow work, subconscious reprogramming, all that good stuff, then please subscribe and switch on your notifications as well so that you don't miss any future videos. And lastly, if you want to be supported on your self-concept and manifestation journey, either because you're right at the beginning stages of it, or you've been doing this for a while but you feel blocked in some way, or you would just like further guidance, then I invite you to check out the links in the description box below, because you've got a bunch of free resources there, from masterclasses to guidebooks, that will really support you wherever you're currently at. Today, we're talking about the connection between your emotions and your manifestation. So we're going to be answering questions like, do you need to feel good to manifest? Can you manifest with sticky emotions, anger, fear, sadness, grief? How to manifest when you're not feeling great? And we're also going to look at it from the other side of, can you manifest feeling good all the time? Can you essentially manifest a magical life where everything is just flowing? And how all that connects to your self-concept, because everything does. And if you have been here before, you know I keep it real. The first thing I want to touch on can be a bit of a kick for your ego. It is a kick for mine as well. And that is that manifestation is not a solution to your problems. And it's not a way to control your circumstances or your reality either. The desire to manifest your reality often comes from a desire to control it, often comes from your ego. People who are just completely surrendered, who are just taking life as it comes, who don't feel the need to control other people or their circumstances, rarely feel attracted to conscious manifestation. So I'm saying that first of all because it's normal to come at this from your ego, and I want you to not blame yourself or shame yourself for it. Pretty normal. We love to have control over our reality and our lives and other people sometimes. But it's also important to know that manifestation is not a miracle or a magic tool. It's not going to make your problems disappear. It's not going to make your negative emotions disappear. In fact, however you feel right now is exactly how you will feel even when your manifestation comes today. You might feel a little different when it arrives, but you will get back to the state you're currently at very fast. Whether that's good or bad doesn't matter, right? I'm not saying that you're currently in a bad state, but wherever you are, it's not going to change after the manifestation comes in. In other words, your manifestation does not change your self-concept or your state of being. A few years ago, a lot of manifestation content was very dreamy. It was very like, just feel good, just be in your imagination, and it was very out of the body. And I think you still get those be delusional messages. But truthfully, manifestation is not some miracle tool where you just shift into a new reality and all your problems will disappear. Just quantum leap, just shift into a parallel reality where everything that you're currently worrying about doesn't exist anymore. That's not really how it works. That's really something that comes from an energy of avoidance, of not wanting to deal with what's currently in front of you. To me, and in my process and in my work with my clients, I can 1000% tell you that the bulk of the manifestation process, the bulk of the work that we do is emotional integration, processing, alchemy, release. It's working with emotions. It's working with the undesirable circumstances. It's not trying to avoid them, ignore them, or just shift into a different reality. It's not to make the problems disappear. And you might say like, but why, Lorena? Isn't it much nicer to make problems disappear and to just shift into a parallel reality? But the thing is, avoidance is not helpful, because if you avoid something, you're automatically unconsciously resisting it, sometimes even consciously, and what you resist persists. If you've ever tried to look away from something, you're like, oh, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to admit that. I'm going to pretend it's not there. It just gets bigger and bigger and more of a problem. But in saying that, manifestation is real, but it's also actually tangible. It's not some woo-woo concept. I mean, it's still a bit metaphysical, but it's not about visualizing something and hoping it comes to fruition. There's a real tangible process behind it, at least the process that I use and teach. And that's a very grounded and holistic and emotionally integrated approach that doesn't require you to fake anything, to fake it till you make it, or do 1,000 techniques all the time. It's a very natural shift in your state of being that happens through this process. Your manifestation does not create your happiness. And so when it comes to the topic of manifesting states or feelings, and I'm saying that because some people don't actually want a tangible manifestation. Some people come to me because they don't actually have tangible desires. They're like, I don't really have anything specific in terms of a physical manifestation that I'm working towards. I just want to feel a certain way. I just want to be in a certain state. I want to feel this way in my body. I want to feel this way about myself. And that's great, because the emotional state and the state of being are more important than the tangible result anyway, because the tangible result follows as a projection of that embodiment, of that shift in your state or your feeling. And it's also because if you're just focusing on an external result, you're outsourcing your happiness, and you will continue to seek it externally and to chase it externally. But then also, you don't manifest an emotional state that you just sustain forever. It is in the human experience and in human nature to experience the full spectrum of emotions, and you will continue to do that. What changes is your default or habitual state of being. That is what you can change. But that is also not something that you manifest through imagination or a visualization. Because when you do that, it can give you that feeling in the moment, but you're not going to sustain it because it's not part of you. It's still something outside of you that you're tapping into. It's something that you instead become. You turn into a new version of yourself. And that happens through a very intentional process. And I have a process that I teach for that, but it includes a lot of emotional integration, shadow work, subconscious reprogramming work, nervous system work, different elements that create a shift in your entire system so that you don't have to try, that you don't have to constantly do 1,000 techniques. And so you don't manifest that state, you become it. And that's important because you can manifest what you want, but still feel the exact same way you did before. And depending on how that is, that might not be so good. And I want to share a little story from a client here. She had a desire for a specific person, and she was manifesting that person, or she had been trying to for a few years, actually. I believe it was 2 years, 1.5, 2 years. And she joined Recreate Yourself, which is my coaching program. And after about 2 months, she manifested that relationship. From one day to the next, this person just came up and confessed their love to her. I was so happy for her. And one thing that she said to me that really stood out was that she was like, I didn't feel any different. I thought I would feel different, but I felt the same way I felt before. And I'm like, duh. That's exactly how it happens. Your manifestation will not change the way you feel. It's the other way around. You change the way you feel, and the manifestation will line up with that because you'll be available for it. Let's talk about manifesting when you're not feeling great. Because maybe you have the perception that you need to feel amazing all the time in order to manifest, but you don't. You don't have to feel good to manifest what you want. Of course, it's sometimes easier, but because the better you feel, the more calm you are, the easier it is for you to have positive assumptions and perceptions and interpretations of things. But you can be in any emotional state. You can be in any mood and still manifest what you want. And I even encourage you to think about manifestations that have come through for you, whether that's intentional or unintentionally, where you didn't feel so great in the moment, where you maybe just had a big cry, or you've been really angry or frustrated. And it's important not to resist your emotions, because resistance is always the killer. Often things come in after you feel something negative, like a negative emotion. And I say this in quotation marks because no emotion is truly negative. But sometimes that happens because the resistance dissolves. You can absolutely manifest when you're angry or hurt or fearful or sad. What matters is not your mood. What matters is your habitual state of being and the self-concept that you embody and operate from and walk through the world with. So to go a little bit deeper still into the connection between your emotions and your manifestation, unintegrated emotions, unprocessed emotions can really block your manifestation from coming through, even if you're doing everything right otherwise. If you've got emotions that are in your system that you're still holding on to or repressing unconsciously, then that will block you in a way. And I had this happen many times, and I've just recently uncovered that I still have some repressed anger inside of me that I'm currently processing and working through with a mentor of mine. And I'm already noticing how more things are coming into my reality, are coming through for me, because I'm releasing that anger slowly. Emotions are not bad. They can really be your superpower when you know how to channel them, when you know how to integrate them, process them, alchemize them. And when I think about my clients' successes, this is always the biggest piece for them. The manifestations usually come through and the things suddenly come in and they transform, they shift when they work through these emotions. Basically, what I teach them in Recreate Yourself is how to transform and transmute these fears and these emotions, the things that they were resisting the whole time, into their desire. It gets channeled into the manifestation so that it actually serves you rather than holds you back. But all in all, it really comes down to your self-concept, which is how I feel I end every video. It all comes down to the way you feel about yourself, the way you perceive your circumstances, how you show up in the world, and what goes hand in hand with that is self-compassion, self-love, and integration of your shadows, which is also a really big aspect of what we do in Recreate Yourself. A lot of shadow work. Not comfortable, not sexy, doesn't sound appealing, but it's going to transform your life, I promise you. A powerful self-concept is really the glue that holds it all together, so that you can move through any emotional state, through any mood, and it's not a barrier, it's not a block. Because your identity has shifted, your self-concept is stable and strong, and it's transformed into the identity and the reality that you have desired the whole time. So that's where you get to feel it all without resistance. That is where you can make empowered decisions from that state of being, and where you're able to choose your feelings and your states, where you're able to create positive emotions without needing the circumstances to appear a certain way, where you can trust yourself and the process deeply enough so that it manifests. I hope you like this, and I would love it if you left me a little comment below. Tell me about something that you have manifested whilst not feeling good. How were you feeling? What manifested? Tell me your story, and I will see you in next week's video.